This is the case of People versus Paulo Luis Gratela e Davilio, GR number 225961, January 6, 2020. The doctrine of this case is a conviction for rape may be sustained based on the medical-legal report and testimonial evidence of the victim and medico-legal officer. The facts of the case are as follows. Accused appellant Paulo Luis Gratela Idavilla or Gratela was charged with statutory rape of a 7-year-old girl named AAA. During arraignment, he pleaded not guilty. At the pre-trial, both parties stipulated that first, the court has jurisdiction over the case, and second, the age of the complainant or the victim at the time of the alleged crime was 7 years old. AAA narrated that sometime in the afternoon of July 2007, she went to the accused's house to look for his sister, who is her friend. Unable to find her because she was sleeping, AAA went inside the accused's room and sat on the sofa. The accused approached AAA and pulled down her shorts and underwear. He also pulled down his clothes and then he rubbed his penis into her vagina. AAA did not look at what was happening because of fear. She was not looking, but she felt pain on her vagina. The accused asked her to moan while doing the act. Afterwards, she pulled up her garments and went home. She kept the incident to herself because she feared her mother might scold her. Healed laceration and red clots were found in AAA's physical and genital examination. The medical legal officer concluded that there is clear evidence of blunt force or penetrating trauma. The regional trial court found Gratela guilty beyond reasonable doubt of statutory rape through sexual intercourse. The RTC ruled that the presence of all the elements of statutory rape. First, the accused had carnal knowledge of the offended party. Second, the offended party was below 12 years old at the time of the commission of the crime. Jurisprudence dictates that the slightest touch of the vagina consummates rape and vaginal pain indicates penile penetration. Here, the medical legal officer found clear evidence of blunt force or penetrating trauma to the vagina. Further, it was uncontested that the victim was 7 years old at the time of the commission of the crime. Hence, the original trial court convicted Gratella of statutory rape through sexual intercourse. The Court of Appeals denied the Gratella's appeal and affirmed the original trial court's decision. The Court of Appeals rejected Gratella's argument that it was impossible to commit the sexual act inside his house where other people reside. Jurisprudence pronounced that lust is no respecter of time and place, so that rape can occur even when people are around. Here, Gratella committed the sexual act inside his room while his sister was sleeping in the other room. Thus, his claim fails. The CA also turned down Gratella's contention that AAA's accusation is questionable because of the length of time it took to report the crime. The CA stated that there was sufficient explanation for the delay in reporting the crime. AAA was only 7 years old at the time of the incident and was easily threatened of the shame it would bring if she told anyone about it. When AAA was a teenager, she found courage to share her secret to her mother. The CA held that AA's narration is consistent with the medical legal officer's report showing healed laceration caused by a blunt force or penetrating trauma due to sexual intercourse. The defense of denial and alibi were unsupported and did not overcome AA's positive identification. Hence, the Court of Appeal affirmed Gratella's conviction. So, the issue of this case is whether or not the Court of Appeals erred in affirming Gratella's conviction. The Supreme Court ruled that Gratella is guilty beyond reasonable doubt of statutory rape. Article 266A of the RPC states that rape through sexual intercourse is committed as follows. Rape is committed by a man who shall have carnal knowledge of a woman under any of the following circumstances: through force, threat, or intimidation, when the offended party is deprived of reason or is otherwise unconscious, by means of fraudulent machination or grave abuse of authority, and when the offended party is under 12 years of age or is demented, even though none of the circumstances mentioned above be present. The elements necessary to sustain a conviction for statutory rape are the offender is a man, he had carnal knowledge of a woman, and the offended party is under 12 years old. First, it is undeniable that the accused is a man. Second, records do not show that the accused questioned the victim's age. In fact, the party stipulated during pre-trial that the victim was 7 years old at the time of the commission of the crime. Third, the fact of carnal knowledge was proven through the AAA sinumpaang salaysay and testimony in court. BBB, the mother's sinumpaang salaysay and testimony, the initial medical legal report, the medical legal report R09874 and the medical legal officer's testimony all corroborate that Gratela had carnal knowledge of AAA. In People versus XXX, a rape case where the complainant did not see the penetration, the court held that the complainant's testimony, as corroborated by the medical findings, proved penetration. The court has consistently ruled that when a rape victim's straightforward and truthful testimony conforms with the medical findings of the examining doctor, the same is sufficient to support a conviction for rape. So must it be. Here, AA's allegation of rape is consistent with the medical legal report, which indicates healed hymenal lacerations and red clots. The pain that AAA felt during the sexual act and the presence of healed laceration proves that there was penile penetration. Gratela alleged that it was improbable for him to commit a sexual act considering that he had companions in the house. The court disagrees. In People versus Adahar, the court rejected the accused similar defense. Adahar persistently insists that he could not possibly have done those acts accused of him, since the house where he allegedly committed them was always filled with people. Unfortunately for him, however, this contention had already been refuted many times before. Settled is the rule that the presence of people in a certain place is no guarantee that the rape will not and cannot be committed. Time and again, the court has held that for rape to be committed, it is unnecessary for the place to be ideal or the weather to be fine, for rapists bear no respect for place and time when they execute their evil deed. Rape may be committed inside a room, in a crowd squatters colony, and even during a wake. Gratella also averred that the veracity and accuracy of AA's account is questionable because of the place of time before she revealed the incident. The court differs. In People versus Bedchem, the court ruled that neither the delay in reporting the incidents to the proper authorities tainted the victim's credibility. For sure, there was no prompt revelation of what befell the victims, but long silence and delay in reporting the crime of rape have not always been construed as indications of a false accusation. A rape charge becomes doubtful only when the delay in revealing its commission is unreasonable and unexplained. In the present case, appellant threatened the victims that he would kill them and their families if they would tell anyone of what he did to them. To them, to our mind, this is a reasonable explanation for the delay. Here, A sinumpa ang salaysay and her testimony mentioned that she was afraid that her mother BBB might scold her for what happened. She also testified that there were instances that her mother spanked her. Her fear of her mother was so strong that she decided to keep the abuse a secret. The immature mental and emotional state of a 17-year-old girl could not yet comprehend the inherently wrong act committed against her, which needs immediate attention. It was only after 2 years, when AAA was in her preteens, when she mustered the courage to tell her secret to her mother. The court accepts AAA's explanation as reasonable justification for the delay in reporting the crime. The combination of AAA and the medical legal officer's testimonies and the medical legal report are sufficient to support a conviction for rape as they prove the elements of the crime. This is the case of People versus Gratela. Thank you.